Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Thank you for joining us today to talk about unlocking retail success with Copilot. We'll go ahead and get started in just about a minute or so. Thank you for joining. Okay. So, thank you all for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started very shortly here. We're looking forward to learning a little bit more about Copilot, how it applies to the retail industry, or just Copilot in general. What we're going to go ahead and do here is we'll get started. First things first, as you might expect, we'll look at the agenda. We'll start with some housekeeping items, some things that'll help you improve your experience on our webinar today. We'll introduce you to our presenters, followed by looking at some trends, and then we'll deep dive into some of the use cases as it relates to Copilot for retail. We'll talk a little bit about what's next, both within the technology ecosystem, but also what you can do next, as well as some time at the end for a Q&A. On the housekeeping side, if you're not familiar with the On24 platform, you've got a variety of different window panes that you can reconfigure size. One of those is the Q&A one. Please do feel free to chat in your questions into that Q&A box or window pane when you happen to think of that. There will be some dedicated time at the end for us to address those questions. There's also closed captioning available. As I mentioned, you've got some capabilities to resize and jigger things as you will see appropriate. And if you are not able to attend for the full length of this presentation and demonstration, you'll be receiving a recording of it as well after the webinar is completed. So we'll quickly introduce some of our presenters today. I'll start with myself. My name is Corey Bakhtiari. I'm the Senior Director of Strategy and Innovation. And presenting with me today is John Rastia. He's the Senior Director of Innovation and Technology. I always like to start our conversation here with an understanding of some of the trends, right? Providing a little bit of context as it relates to, in this case, retail industry, as well as within the context of AI and machine learning. Organizations are looking typically at AI to improve their employee experience and customer satisfaction. From an employee experience perspective, especially in those areas where there is high turnover, long onboarding times, or a requirement to have in-depth knowledge, leveraging generative AI, virtual assistants or chatbots to provide frontline workers with those very same superpowers that you see with ChatGPT, but on business or corporate data, can reduce time needed to train. This enables team members on the front line, for example, at your brick and mortar retail stores, to focus on the customer at hand and improve their satisfaction. Organizations are also looking at providing that similar AI or machine learning experience directly to customers, so even the self-service customer base can experience those benefits. Now, we may also ask, what are we talking about when we're talking about Copilot and generative AI? In short, Copilot is the Microsoft branded term given to trained or tuned generative AI models that have a workload specific application. Workloads you could think of like customer service or sales agents, supply chain planners, or even software developers. Each Copilot is tuned to assist users in that or in their specific tuned business areas. Key point is that Copilot does not mean autopilot. It works jointly with users, with the people in the conversation for a variety of reasons, both from a quality control perspective, but also from a responsibility compliance piece as well. Generative AI itself is a type of artificial intelligence. So it's a subset of the domain of AI capable of creating new or similar content or data, including a variety of different things like you could see under the applications area there, and images, music, or text. The key thing here is that it's not been explicitly programmed or input by humans, but rather this new or similar content gets generated through natural language interaction. Generative AI models are designed to learn from patterns and trends in data sources or in data sets, and then generate new content that is similar to or completes that source data. High level, to restate, we've got a model, which is how you interact with the data source. So that's actually going to be the generative AI model. You have source data that is usually indexed or loaded in some capacity, so it's easily accessible by that model. You interact with the data through that model in a natural language format, typically in like a prompt and response or completion cadence. And there's a variety of different tools out there, like ChatGPT, Google Bard, DALL-E, and the like. Curiously, we're all here, talking within the context of an Argano presentation. For those of you who are not familiar with what Argano means before it became a company, the image to the right of our presentation, of our slide here, is a DALL-E 2 image generated of an Argano, which is effectively like a hoist, a building crane that was used during the medieval and Renaissance period to really help build big buildings, in this case, hoping to lay the foundations of digital transformation. So it's an interesting way of looking at how we can also help you do this, leveraging generative AI image generation model to help you build your cathedrals, your digital foundations. Furthermore, you may ask, okay, let's maybe talk a little bit more from a business perspective here. After running a survey, what some different, including Gartner, this specific survey is coming from, found is that employees want nearly every process or task to benefit from some degree of AI automation or augmentation. These same studies show that employees envision using AI not just for administrative tasks, but also for analytical and creative work. Interestingly, employees are even looking to AI to help them organize and plan their day. And this applies to not just white-collar workers, white-collar or knowledge-based workers. This could also apply to blue-collar or frontline workers. Given an agile work environment and just how many signals individuals get in a typical day of work, task management and prioritization can become overwhelming, meaning Copilot could be performing the role of an actual assistant for everybody. And this is one place where employees and leaders typically agree. Studies show that leadership, managers, are 2 times more likely to say that they're looking to empower their people with AI rather than replace them. In fact, reducing headcount was actually last on the list in terms of what they were looking for from an AI automation or augmentation capability. Their top hopes for AI, similar: increasing productivity, automating tasks, increasing employee well-being, and enabling employees to focus on more impactful work. Now, we're going to take a look at the Microsoft Copilot product here. Microsoft is actively investing in embedding Copilot across its full technology stack. We're going to start at the bottom left here. Those of us, and most of us for sure, are going to be familiar with our productivity applications, the formerly known as Office applications, right? PowerPoint, Outlook, Excel. Microsoft has a Copilot, a SaaS Copilot that is embedded within each one of those and tuned to create work within the context of those specific applications. Drafting PowerPoints, creating content, analyzing data in Excel. But even beyond that, there are Copilot capabilities that exist within Azure. So for example, around helping you do administrative activities, like how can I optimize my costs associated with these virtual machines? It even extends into the analytics space, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But for things such as building and developing pipelines, doing data transformation, as well as building and analyzing reports within Power BI. There's a slew of line of business specific application of Copilots as well. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of these coming down the line, and we'll show you some of these in addition to some custom Copilot capabilities that Argano has extended on top of the Microsoft base so that we could fit for purpose based on a specific application or a specific requirement. Additionally, one other point on the bottom right here, a lot of this is going to be powered by pieces of the Power Platform. So one in particular is called Copilot Studio. This is the legacy name Power Virtual Agents. Copilot Studio is that chatbot sort of framework that they baked, that Microsoft has baked generative AI capabilities within. Either from like more of a SaaS perspective, so you can do directly upload or specify knowledge sources, or you can leverage a more PaaS model where you can build out a whole design pattern that leverages Azure OpenAI for more sophisticated AI capabilities as well. All right, now we're going to hop into some of the use cases. The first one we're going to talk about is Store Operations Assist. So when we're thinking about this from a retail perspective, this is going to be our frontline worker productivity app. So this is something that's embedded within, could be embedded within Teams, but this is also its own mobile application that's based on Power Platform, right? And really the Store Operations Assist is going to help those frontline workers either in a brick and mortar retail storefront or perhaps within a warehouse location that does some form of retail operations to do some of these things, right? Being able to integrate within Microsoft Dynamics 365, customer service or supply chain management or commerce, so that we can consolidate data into a single view for all your retail operations, including sales, inventory, customer data, employee performance. It also has advanced analytics to provide retailers, mostly management and higher level insights into business performance. You also have a clienteling capability where you've got personalized recommendations based on data within the system and that from a knowledge base or even from disparate systems. And we'll talk a little bit about that because this is an interesting use case where we've extended a Copilot capability to leverage an inventory visibility capability, which is part of Dynamics 365 supply chain management, so that retailers or like frontline workers can actually inquire into inventory availability and identify where there are stock available and where that may be the closest, where that stock is closest based on their specific location. It's also scalable. So this is a cloud-based solution so that it can help scale the needs of retailers of all sizes. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to John Rastia, who's going to go ahead and give us a quick demo on some of the Copilot capabilities within Store Operations Assist.
Thank you, Corey. The retail industry grapples with high employee turnover, leading to significant vacancies and recruitment challenges. This turnover not only incurs substantial hiring and training costs, but also impacts morale and productivity throughout the organization. Seasonal job additions exacerbate the issue, requiring substantial training investments for short-term employees. Moreover, retailers often find their frontline workers lacking the digital tools necessary for effective job performance. This deficiency results in inefficiencies and decreased job satisfaction, ultimately affecting the level of service provided to customers. Thus, investing in digital tools is crucial to support frontline workers and enhance their effectiveness. The demands on retailers have escalated rather than diminished. The retail industry is continuously under pressure to improve. This pressure includes offering more ways to shop and deliver products, dealing with increased global supply chain challenges, and expanding customer service options. Arguably, the urgency to excel and deliver is more pronounced in retail than in any other sector. The Store Operations Assist for retail unlocks the potential of frontline workers with tailored communications, AI-powered virtual companions or digital assistants, and streamlined digitized processes. Retailers can now empower the store associate to improve productivity, job satisfaction, and customer experiences. In this very brief demo, I'm going to show you the Store Operations Assist for retailer and how our frontline workers can easily look up information when approached by customers. So in this case, I have a store manager that was just approached by a customer looking for some inventory that they do not see on the shelves. So what they can quickly do is open up this particular tool, open up the Copilot, and ask it a question. They can use their voice or type it in, and what the question is, in this case, what's the available inventory for our motorcycle helmets? Quickly processing that question is going to send it to the back office to retrieve the information and help us get the information that we need.
Great.
And with that, I can really very quickly show you here. We looked at the inventory, what's available, and we've got 15 units in 2 locations across the Hill and Green warehouses. And we can either arrive if it's shipped to them in 3 days, or if it's shipped and picked up in the store, we could be doing that in 1 day. So you can quickly see here with store operations, we can get that information quickly to the customers.
Thank you, John. That was a great example of a capability that was an extension of an accelerator that Microsoft provides, where we're actually able to integrate inventory visibility capabilities within a frontline worker experience, right? So this is that integration of the holistic capability from a supply chain management or an ERP system into the hands of someone at the store. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about a customer service copilot as it relates to the retail industry. So with the customer service copilot, what we want to be able to do is enable our users to be able to resolve customer issues fast with more relevant and personalized recommendations. And this is difficult. It's difficult to scale personalized service. It takes a lot of time, effort, mental capacity to do this effectively. Contact center agents, oftentimes, especially those in maybe a call center as well, are under pressure to resolve cases or to process orders very quickly. And there is a motto of doing more with less. AI is a way that you're going to be able to accommodate that. Call centers' cost to serve is also high due to turnover and extended onboarding times. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a virtual associate that can be embedded within a variety of different systems, including biz apps. It could be within Teams, or it could be in a site as well, like an e-commerce site, where you're going to be able to take contextual information to provide personalized service and then allow a generative AI model to interact with system data as well as a knowledge base. And this helps improve operational efficiency and improve profitability by reducing the amount of time it takes to serve those customers. And because you've now reduced the amount of time it takes to serve these customers, you're going to hopefully improve their satisfaction. So with that, I'm going to hand this back over.
Thanks again, Corey. So in this brief demonstration, I'm going to be showing you the components of Customer Service Copilot, broken it down in 2 areas. And in this scenario, we're going to have our customer signed on to our e-commerce site. That's going to start a chat session and then ultimately ask it a few questions. And then, want to speak with a chatbot first, but then ultimately transferring to a human agent about some of their order information. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So already, as a customer here, I'm already into my e-commerce site. I did authenticate with them. So let's go ahead and start a chat. So in this chat session, the chatbot, because you've already authenticated to it, it has already personalized this experience for the customer. So we come up with some various, information that's related to their account proactively. So we can kind of see we're pulling in their name. So we have a lot of information about them, including a recent return that they've currently have had, but then also returns back some additional recent orders that they had. So again, being very proactive here and personalized, we get some of the information. But they want to have some more information here that's related to it. They have some questions about some return policies. So by simply asking it the question, we've already uploaded the company's website and policy information to the chatbot, so we can use things like natural language to easily come up with all the right information. So here you can kind of see some information about our return policy. The second thing I'm going to kind of ask about it is are there any restocking fees? So again, searching these repositories, we can quickly, return back the information. So we don't have any, charges for restocking fees. Do we offer refunds? Again, looking at some of these, data sources, going to return back the data very quickly to us. Okay, so there's all of our different information here. And you can kind of see we've kind of personalized it here too to be a very friendly chatbot. So after I've gotten all the information that I needed to, I do want to, speak to an agent. So I'm going to kind of, pop that in. And once I kind of click it on set to, speak to an agent, it will transfer you over to any, available agent that has the right skills to handle any order information. So let's kind of, pause and look over there. So now I'm going to kind of leave the website and I'm going to go over to our customer service workspace where I'm signed in already as an agent. I'm in the queue available to take either calls, or chats like this. Automatically, it does authenticate like we said before. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. And it's going to start off my chat session. So the first thing it's going to do is obviously, provide me the communication panel. So I don't have to ask it, all the same questions back and forth. I get a full summary of all the information here provided by the Copilot. So I don't have to read through all those responses. I can just summarize the entire conversation before I start in. So it quickly, does a conversation summary right here, talks about all the information that we did above. And from here, we can get more information, such as, again, information on their order or anything else. So I'm going to kind of chat back and forth to them and say, again, how may I help you? Just kind of switching back and forth back over to the queue over here. I got a new message. This is obviously coming from my agent. And again, I'm just going to ask it some more return policy, questions back and forth. Now, the Copilot can now actually be brought up here. Again, so it's looking at the return policy. What I can actually do here is actually suggest a response. So what it's actually going to do now is it's actually going to use this information that I'm chatting back and forth with the customer. And in this case, they're asking about return policy. And very quickly here, you can see all the information that's regarding our return policies. And because this is a Copilot, I can make any changes to this, okay, before I send it to the customer, right? So I can actually check the sources. We've got my return policy information here, but where is it getting from? Looks like I've got a couple knowledge base articles, and this really helps those brand new customer service agents that you've just got done training to put the information. So all I have to do there is send it over to the customer. It automatically, chats back and forth for the customer and everything else that they need to do about a policy or return that has additional information related to them. Additionally, I have my Smart Assist open here that's always looking for knowledge base articles. You can really kind of see here, it's going to pull up suggested knowledge base articles on exchange policies, return policies, and things like that. But also finally helping us also is a knowledge base search. So if I actually wanted to do a return policy here, search not only our knowledge base articles, as you've seen here, but what I also have is my ERP guides. So let's see if I'm going to do a refund. Again, checking my knowledge base articles. How do I process a return? Again, always providing the information back and forth to that agent, whether it be knowledge base articles, training guides, anything that we want to upload into the system to ultimately help our customers as quickly as possible. So with that, you've kind of seen some personalization from Copilot using natural language to ask it questions from the Copilot perspective. We've summarized our entire conversation here. So when I go ahead and actually end it out, we can actually create a case, automatically for it, using that case summary of all the information so the agent does not have to retake and validate, and summarize all the notes that's regarding to it. I can create a case right here. It opens up a case for that customer with the right information very quickly. It enables the Copilot to search through other knowledge-based articles to help the agent quickly get the customers the answers to the questions they have to increase the satisfaction. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Corey. Corey, back over to you.
Thank you, John. Amazing stuff. Now we're going to spend a minute shifting our conversation to more functions of a back office. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some Copilot capabilities that are more related to the workloads associated with an ERP. In this case, Dynamics 365's finance and supply chain management or operations. The first Copilot capability we're going to speak to here is basically a help and guidance application for Dynamics 365 capabilities. This is an in-app help and guidance Copilot that uses the power of generative AI to give contextual support to users in real time. Copilot is going to access a full range of public documentation, in this case, to offer precise assistance and streamlined navigation through, frankly, extensive and very depthful capabilities of an ERP like Dynamics 365, finance, and supply chain. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to do one where I'm sharing my screen to do the demo. That should have my screen up. I'm going to go ahead and navigate over to our D365 environment. I'm going to go ahead and, of course, start a new session here. Now, what you're going to see here are some features that are already available, either in a preview or in a general availability, right? There's going to be a couple things I'm going to speak to. First off is the fact that when we're looking at Copilot capabilities embedded within Dynamics 365, finance and supply chain management, it's going to be similar to what Sean showed us. You've got a Copilot capability and an icon up here up in this taskbar. It's going to open up a sidecar. This is where we're going to be interacting with the Copilot. The nice thing about this sidecar is that it's going to stay the same. So you're not going to lose focus of the interaction as you navigate elsewhere in the application itself. So you think of it as truly separate. Now you can plug in your own custom Copilots within here that are tuned to specific use cases with its own data sources, either on the Dataverse, maybe within D365 or otherwise. Or you could leverage some of the out-of-the-box Copilots as well. Common one that we would look at here is the generative guidance and assistance capability. So for example, this is really useful for those situations where you basically need to onboard or train new users or help existing users do infrequent activities, right? By being able to access a knowledge base within the application itself, you're going to be able to both improve efficiency by avoiding back and forth and loss of focus, and also you're going to maximize your investment. There might also be some capabilities within Dynamics, for example, if you're exploring within a sandbox environment that you didn't know about. So for example, let's say that maybe we are in a high volume, we're in a busy season and we need all hands on deck to do certain activities. So what we can ask is a specific question. So I want to ask, how do I process retail sales order? Okay. Now, like with a lot of Copilots, what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and both create and source the specific information, and I'll have you know, it's not a demo unless something goes wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it one more time. What it should do is it should be able to provide us some information from the Microsoft Learn document. So I apologize for that, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this, and hopefully we'll get this opportunity. One of the things with Copilot, though, is we're going to be able to leverage this and also be able to provide source information as it relates to where did this data come from. So, I think it was likely the issue was that I just had to re-authenticate, and sometimes when you re-authenticate, some things are cached incorrectly. So a quick refresh usually helps with these sort of situations. But now what we've gone ahead and done is we've asked it a very specific question. Copilot has come back and it's provided us a list of steps in order for us to actually execute this. Now, you can go ahead and leverage this and go ahead and follow along. I'm going to go into all sales orders and then execute this specific action. What I would also highlight here, when we're looking at this Copilot, and we're looking at a lot of these Copilots, what's important is that you also provide sources. So if you're curious or inquisitive and you want to be able to provide a little bit more context behind this and look at the source, you're going to be able to do that by clicking on this source link. It's going to go ahead and open up, in this case, that Learn documentation. So this is a pretty neat capability. This is something that you can also fine tune to a specific use case. But in this situation, when you're looking at just the depth of capability of an ERP, it could be hard to recall all these things at a certain time, especially if you're not an architect of this solution. So this is a great way for you to leverage, in coordination perhaps with task recordings, Microsoft documentation, or business process guides, so you can go ahead and maximize your use of Dynamics 365. Moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you next about demand planning. So now, again, from a back office perspective, taking John's example where, we may have, or maybe what we're just looking at, we have a sales order, right? We've got a bunch of different incoming signals that specify demand, either in the past, right? One of the things that Microsoft has recently released is a demand planning app. This is a standalone app that lands within the Dataverse. It integrates with Dynamics 365 supply chain. You can incorporate data lake, other data sources, Excel CSVs in there. It allows you to do no code, what if planning, analyses, optimizations, and even compare different scenarios. It allows you to track the changes that you've made with specific plans. You can collaborate within teams. Eventually coming out, we're looking at having an AI to actually perform actions, to tune forecasting and actually do pre-processing routines. So things like phasing in and out depending on certain conditions, right? And right now what we're gonna dive into a little bit more is leveraging Copilot to help navigate as well as understand and analyze your demand plans. A couple things from a benefit perspective to look at here is you're going to be able to improve operational efficiency by optimizing your inventory management activities based on what you forecast from a demand perspective. You're going to be able to increase profitability as well by identifying new or expand existing sources of revenue based on a forecasted demand. And you can improve customer satisfaction by reducing lead times by through prioritization activities, for example. So with that, we're going to go ahead and hop into our demand planning application. Now, the first thing I'm going to go ahead and show you here is similar. You've got your Copilot capability. It is a similar experience. You've got this sidecar. The first thing that you're going to be able to do here is I'm going to go ahead and use the navigation feature. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and say, I want to navigate to something. It's going to provide you a list of options. You go ahead and select one. It's going to go ahead and actually perform the action of navigating us to that specific area. And then once we're in that area, we're going to be able to take this to the next level. We're going to be able to actually look within a worksheet and be able to actually interact with the data within the worksheet so that we can go ahead and, I'm just going to put this, so that we can actually do some analysis. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and just open up this specific forecast model. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to leverage a Copilot capability. And again, it's probably the fact that we need to go ahead and do a refresh before these things. We need to make sure that we can re-authenticate it. So sometimes, just like any application, SaaS application, we need to make sure that everything is logged in. But what you're going to be able to do here is you're going to be able to time trace, these different data points, and you're going to see this Copilot icon show up. And what this Copilot icon is going to allow you to do is you're going to be able to actually pre-prompt with some specific inquiries into, in this case, what are the cause of the largest shifts from June 2023 to July? In this case, where it's a little bit past looking, but what it's going to go ahead and do is it's going to go ahead and provide us some context here, right? It's going to give us a detailed list into what are the contributing factors, in this case, for the change in demand. Right? And it's going to list them all out. And it's going to provide, in bold in this case, unique values that are actually going to be attributable to specific data points, either from imports or maybe based on analyses between points in the past and another point in time. And this is a great way for us to then take this information, and what we're going to be able to do subsequently is we're going to be able to tweak our demand plans in accordance with what we've derived, right, as a part of our analysis. Once I expect probably in the next couple months, maybe by the end of the year for sure, there are also going to be Copilot capabilities that we're going to be able to look at that are going to move beyond the pure analysis, but we're actually going to be able to interact with the sidecar to actually perform actions. So for example, increasing demand by 10% in 2024 for all products in this location, right? It's a really neat feature that we're expecting to see at some point in the future. But right now, what you're seeing mostly is more of a generative answering capability. And we're going to be seeing eventually also the move into generative actions, which is being able to perform a specific function. All right, moving into inventory visibility. This is very similar. Actually, this is what John demonstrated a little bit earlier in our presentation, where he was looking at store operations. This is that frontline worker experience. We're able to take basically the API, the Copilot API of inventory visibility application, which basically provides you a variety of different query information into inventory availability, as well as being able to perform some actions like soft reservations and allocations. But you're going to be able to plug that in through an API into other applications or web services. And what we're able to do here is we're actually able to leverage that within the actual frontline worker experience, so that that frontline worker is going to be able to search inventory in real time. Again, similar outcomes as it relates to benefits, improving operational efficiency, increasing the profitability, and really, at the end of the day, improving customer satisfaction. This is one of those examples of a capability that is great for locations and retail storefronts. This is also, interestingly, being batted around as an idea potentially for exposure to end customers or consumers as well, although perhaps on a limited basis. But this is a pre-baked capability that all we're doing is we're just configuring this to work within different contexts. So since we saw that a little bit earlier, we're not going to do a deeper dive demonstration on that. But what we are going to do a deeper dive demonstration on is supply chain disruptions. Okay. Now, when we're looking at supply chain disruptions, we could be looking at a few different examples, but basically, we've got, let's say we've ran a plan, a master plan, and now we need to go ahead and purchase a set of goods, materials, or depending on the situation, maybe for production or for sales, direct sales. But basically, we've run this and we've executed a set of purchase orders to help us meet our fulfillment requirements, right? What we need from a, let's just say, raw material perspective. Now, what happens oftentimes in a supply chain disruption scenario is that what you may have expected as far as the delivery date is concerned is no longer going to be committed to, or it's no longer going to be realized. And so delivery date may be extended. So what you're going to be able to leverage with this Copilot is basically providing you a natural language understanding about the changes to, in this case, confirmed purchase orders that have downstream impact to things like production, sales orders, transfer orders, safety stock. It's going to allow individual users to review and analyze those changes, and then again, in a natural language interaction, confirm changes and or communicate those to specific vendors if it's been approved or let's say maybe rejected for inquiry into an alternate vendor. Okay, so we're going to hop back into our D365 environment. We're going to go to a workspace here. Go ahead and close this specific Copilot. What we're going to have here is that first generative AI capability, which is basically taking a synthesis of purchase orders, confirmed purchase orders with some form of change that impact items that are involved in other processes, right? And it's going to give you a breakdown, right? It's going to also allow you to then filter based on what are defined as, in this case, low impact or high impact with direct throughput or impact to, let's say, for example, a production order. Okay, so we've got a purchase order, we've got, in this case, original delivery. It's way in the past, but let's use this as a demo example of, hey, you know, we've got now an expected delivery date as communicated by the vendor of July. Now, this is where the analysis comes in, right, from maybe a planner. And you can go ahead and take a look and understand the details or how the prioritization is done of, in this case, the production order. You can take a look at those details. You can make updates or changes, revert back. And the other key piece where the generative AI is going to come into play here is now around automating automating a communication, right? So you've got this generative AI, and now what we're going to be able to do here is now take context associated with this details of this changed to a confirmed purchase order, and we want to communicate to the contact on the vendor. So what I just did is I just opened up, in this case, I just decided to choose the Teams option. And what is actually happening here is it's gone ahead and we're using the web app today. And in this case, it's opening up the web application, and it's actually going to be providing you some information about the details, the context of, in this case, the purchase order, the items, as well as in this case, the fact that we are not accepting this. This is just an automated communication. You can tweak this or change this. This is one of those similar capabilities that you'll see in like a productivity or like an Outlook or a Word Copilot, where it's going to be drafting, communication. It's drafting content based on a source data. In this case, the purchase order changes, confirmed purchase order changes. You can send this. Obviously, this is going to open up in an email as well, and then you can make the appropriate changes within Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. Another Copilot I wanted to just quickly share with you as well is, as I mentioned, you're looking at a lot of the business application and Power Platform Copilots. Another Copilot that's great from an end user interaction perspective, so this could be even within the business, right? Not necessarily a customer, is being able to leverage Fabric Copilot, or what used to be Power BI Copilot. So in this case, we've got, again, our Copilot capability that's going to open up in our sidecar. We've got already a set of reports that we're going to take for granted we have. So we want to take for granted that we've got a data model baked. We've got a semantic model as well. And all of these come with our Argonaut Data Insights solution. So that's what we're basically showing here. And you're going to be able to interact with your data. There's a couple of suggestions here. I'm just going to choose one. But you can also ask it non-prompted or non-suggested questions as well. And it's going to provide you the context based on the semantic model on top of that data in order for you to better gain insights, right? So this is an example of an end user capability associated with Fabric Copilot. You can also leverage Fabric Copilot to do things like build reports as well, right? So not just analyze data within the report, but actually build out those different reports as well. So helping with report development. This is the Copilot within Fabric. And what I'll go ahead and do now is I'm going to come back over to our PowerPoint. So when we look at kind of, now that we've gone through some illustrative use cases associated with Copilot for retail, what has been done is Microsoft's also done a survey that we're taking for granted here that basically it's asking organizations that have leveraged Copilot or have leveraged AI, generative AI specific capabilities about what sort of benefits, tangible benefits they're seeing there at the end of the day. Some of these are quantitative, some of these are qualitative, but some of the quantitative ones that are pretty interesting is around 90 minutes of time savings per week, hour and a half, right? You think about that, that's a pretty significant amount of time. You can see also 2/3 of sellers are spending more time with customers. And you can even expand this into self-service customer engagement as well, where you're able to leverage this generative AI to improve your self-service customer engagement, because there's always going to be that crop of users or individual consumers that don't really want to interact with someone. They want to leverage that self-service capability. And then you can also see some improvements around better customer satisfaction and higher productivity with the customer engagement. These are some of the benefits that you're going to be able to take advantage of if you apply appropriately some Copilot capabilities within your business. So what's next? A couple things, more than a couple things actually. But first off is you're going to start seeing a lot of focus around custom Copilot development. So these are going to be like through Copilot labs that integrate with Microsoft 365. You're going to want to expand the partner and developer ecosystem. So this is going to include both Argonaut and our customers, all right? Helping them build out a center of excellence around Copilot Studio or around generative AI. What you're also going to see are expanded regions, languages, capabilities, right? There's going to be a move from more of an answering interaction to an actioning interaction, broader general availability as well. We'll see perhaps some improved user experience, including mobile. Expect maybe some pricing and licensing updates, which you'll see a lot, right? Is that a lot of the Copilots for business applications are embedded and baked within the SKU or the premium SKU of that specific business application. Copilot Studio is a separate one, especially if you want to look at leveraging a custom Copilot. That's a different licensing perspective. If you have any questions, we'll be sure to talk about it in a little bit. And there's a big effort to spark AI adoption. You know, there's a lot of talk, and now it's time for the rubber to meet the road. And obviously, there's always going to be a continued effort around making sure that whatever AI gets implemented is done ethically and in concert with compliance regimes across the countries and the world as a whole. A couple other points here is that, so if you've found some interest around some of the things we've talked about or we've demonstrated, there are a couple offerings I want to key you in. The first one is a Copilot Studio Excel. This is an offering that's going to help you develop a pilot generative AI capability. And when I say that, I mean that in general. And you can basically work with us to help tailor a specific use case, or maybe a broad use case, where you're going to want to leverage a Copilot capability. It could be as simple as saying, hey, we've got a big file repository. We want to be able to better inquire into it. Or, hey, you know what? We need to better summarize our case information, right? We need to be able to turn on maybe some Copilot capabilities within analytics, right? So we engage with you to basically, first off, identify the use case, what the priorities are, and then we do a limited build activity, usually in concert with yourself. We can also take on more or less effort depending on the skill set within your organization. We can implement it within a pilot kind of context, and then we can also provide you a demonstration of it that will be yours to take with you, and then we can explore a full implementation of this as well. So you've got a QR code here. It's going to take you to a landing page where you're going to be able to fill out if you want more information, or you can feel free to reach out to your main point of contact at Argonaut for you to go ahead and inquire into this offer. I feel like this is a great way to dip your toes into this space without having to invest a lot. It helps you really get a good feel of like where the walls are within the context of like what generative AI is capable at this point. It's like one of those things where, you know, you want to get ahead of it, but you don't want to be necessarily on the bleeding edge. That's a great way to go about it. Also, we showcased a little bit of the operations assist. This is that frontline worker application. Really neat for those retailers with an interest in enabling their employees' experience to basically improve the customer experience at the end of the day. And a couple key things is that's very similar. It's proof of concept pilot, and it's a very assessment-based approach. So we try to focus on those high value items. Both of these are about a week in lapse time, so they are pretty much well defined and contained, and they're all executed based on a standard operating procedure. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. All right, first question is, what kind of support and training does Copilot provide to retail businesses during implementation? So this is one of the nice things. So there are two ways to look at it, right? So I show you an example of within D365 how you can basically ping existing knowledge bases on Microsoft Learn websites so that you can actually learn how to perform certain actions. One of the things that we've been exploring is leveraging Copilot against business process guides. Business process guides, if you're not familiar with that, these are these are your predefined business processes of how you would perform a certain function and activity within Dynamics. We are exploring leveraging a Copilot on top of that, and that is nice because it is more detailed and it actually is more instructive sometimes than just the Learn documentation. But also, this could be as simple as just, hey, pointing it to like Argano standard operating procedure. So there are a variety of different avenues depending on the specific assistance needed for the implementation. But you've got, basically at the end of the day, we've got a data source, and we do, as well as Microsoft does. We can use Copilot to act or to interact with it. How does Copilot assist with retailers in personalizing marketing and promotions? So one of the capabilities that we did not speak to today, but is really neat, is the Copilot that exists within customer insights journeys. This is the former D365 marketing product. Basically, you've got a Copilot within D365, formerly known as marketing, now known as customer insight journeys, that allows you to do a few things. First is you can actually, in a natural language format, create segments based on contacts or leads, right? So based on attributes of contacts or leads, you're going to be able to segment these into individual groups so that, into classification, so that you can target market to those individuals. Then, what you're going to also be able to do is leverage Copilot to then take information about things like, like John was showing you, like maybe abandoned carts, let's say, that are on the commerce side, right? That integrates directly within D365, similar customer insights journey. And then you're going to be able to send promotions to individuals with abandoned carts that provide discounts, and let's say, for example, or promotions, or benefits that they go ahead and check out now. And all you have to do is basically just chat what you want it to do, and it's going to go ahead and do that. So that's a couple good use cases. That's more on the marketing side of things. But as you can tell, there are a lot of capabilities there, and we couldn't maybe necessarily get to all of them on our webinar today. Can Copilot help retailers analyze customer feedback and sentiment to improve product offerings? Absolutely. There's two ways to consider this. So first off is that example that John was talking about when we were looking at the customer service example. That customer service example allows you to basically summarize case information, right? And then you can basically aggregate that with generative AI across multiple cases and organize it. Therefore, also based on, say, product name, or SKU name. And then you can basically summarize bullet points like what that feedback actually is. So that's a more advanced capability, but that's definitely within the realm of just one step more than what we were just talking about, or what John was showing a little bit earlier. Then you can then incorporate that into your actual product document. That would be something that you'll need to do as well yourself, perhaps, and until we get to true autonomous Copilot. Can Copilot help retailers identify and address operational inefficiencies in their stores? Yes, how? One of the ways that you're going to be able to do that is actually with probably that fabric. The fabric generative AI is going to allow you to basically, provided you've got some data, a data model that is baked that includes things like timestamps, you're going to be able to do an analysis based on how long it takes you to do something like maybe to do like a purchase order approval, let's say, for example. If it takes an exceedingly long time to, in certain cases, to do purchase order approval, you're going to be able to analyze that. So what are the attributes of those approvals that are taking so long to take, to actually close out? They could be something like they're associated with a cost center or a specific financial dimension. They could be associated with a variety of other attributes, right? But generative AI is going to allow you to surface that information so that then you can make preventative and corrective actions at the end of the day. Okay, good questions. Hopefully I was able to address them all. I want to just spend a moment if there are any other questions, but if not, I just want to thank you all for joining our presentation today on Copilot within the retail industry and how you can unlock success with that. Hopefully this gave you a little taste of what you can do with it and whetted the appetite. Of course, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to do so. And if you would like to share this, or if you didn't catch all of this, we will be sending out a recording of this shortly after we conclude here. So thank you, everybody, and cheers. Have a great rest of your days or evening.